Over 60? Stop wasting money on calcium supplements that your body struggles to absorb. Start adding this tiny bone-building fish to your diet twice a week to naturally lock strength back into your frame. It sounds almost too simple to be true, doesn't it? We have been told for decades that a chalky white pill is the answer to aging bones, but the true secret to maintaining your independence lies in the humble, ancient ingredients that have sustained healthy generations for thousands of years. Imagine feeling that deep, sturdy confidence in your step again, knowing you are fueling your body with exactly what it needs, not just what a laboratory created. As we move through our 60s and 70s, there is a silent, often invisible tension building inside our bodies that few of us like to talk about. You might not feel it when you first wake up in the morning, or even when you take a pleasant walk in the park, but your bones are quietly changing. The sturdy structure that once held you upright without effort is becoming porous, somewhat like a sponge drying out in the sun. It is a terrifying thought that creeps in during the quiet moments. The realization that the very foundation of your physical independence is slowly losing its density. You start to worry that a simple stumble on an uneven rug or a slip in the garden could turn into a life-changing event, dividing your life into before and after. Here is what is actually happening beneath the surface, and why the standard advice often misses the mark. Your bones are not dead stone. They are living, breathing tissue that constantly needs to be rebuilt and repaired. But after 60, the natural process of breaking down old, worn-out bone happens faster than your body can build new, strong bone. The real problem is that simply dumping raw calcium into your system via a high-dose pill often results in that calcium getting confused. Without the right guides, that calcium might get stuck in your arteries or your kidneys, stiffening your heart rather than strengthening your hips. You don't just need minerals, you need a biological delivery system to get those minerals into the skeletal matrix where they belong. Number 7. Sardines with bones. This brings us to the ancient wisdom of the ocean, specifically the power of sardines with bones. In the modern world, we have become obsessed with convenience, opting for skinless, boneless fillets that look pristine on a plate. However, by discarding the bones and skin, we are throwing away the very essence of what our aging bodies crave. Sardines are a nutritional powerhouse because they offer a complete package. When you eat a sardine, you are usually eating the whole fish, including those tiny, soft bones. This is crucial because the calcium found in these bones is bioidentical to what your body needs. It is not an isolated chemical rock. It is calcium wrapped in a biological matrix. But the magic of sardines goes beyond just calcium. Nature rarely works in isolation. For your body to actually absorb calcium, it desperately needs vitamin D. Without vitamin D, the calcium you consume just passes right through you or settles in the wrong places. Sardines are one of the few natural food sources that are rich in both calcium and vitamin D simultaneously. It is as if nature designed this tiny fish specifically to heal and maintain bone density. When you consume them together in this natural form, the absorption rate skyrockets compared to a synthetic supplement. You are feeding your bones the exact recipe they need to remineralize. Think about the populations in the Mediterranean or coastal Japan. These are cultures where people often stay active, upright, and mobile well into their 90s. They didn't grow up with bottles of supplements on their kitchen counters. Instead, they grew up with plates of grilled sardines, seasoned simply with lemon and olive oil. They were consuming high-quality protein, anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, and that critical bone-building calcium-vitamin D combination several times a week. It wasn't medicine, it was lunch. When you open a tin of sardines or grill them fresh, you are engaging in a ritual of self-preservation. The taste might be strong for some, but that intensity is the flavor of nutrition density. If you are worried about the taste, remember that our palates can adapt, especially when we know the reward is a stronger, more resilient body. You can mash them with avocado, hide them in a rich tomato sauce, or serve them on a cracker with a slice of cucumber. The goal is to get that nutrition into your system. By eating the bones of the fish, you are literally transferring their structural strength into your own. Number 6. Anchovies. Closely related to sardines, but with their own unique profile, are anchovies. These tiny, often misunderstood fish are frequently relegated to being a mere pizza topping, but they are giants in the world of bone health. Anchovies are even smaller than sardines, meaning their bones are incredibly delicate and easy to digest. When dried or preserved in oil, they become concentrated bursts of minerals. Just like sardines, they provide that essential calcium, but they are also exceptionally rich in trace minerals like magnesium and phosphorus. Think of your bone as a complex concrete structure. Calcium is the cement, but magnesium and phosphorus are the sand and gravel that give it texture and durability. Without these trace minerals, the bone might be hard, but it can become brittle. Anchovies provide a broad spectrum of these minerals in a ratio that the human body recognizes instantly. Furthermore, because anchovies are so low on the food chain, they have some of the lowest levels of mercury and toxins of any fish in the ocean. They are pure, clean fuel for a body that needs to be protected from inflammation. Inflammation is the enemy of bone health. Chronic inflammation in the body sends signals to your cells to break down bone tissue. The rich omega-3 fatty acids found in anchovies act as a fire extinguisher for this inflammation. By cooling down the systemic heat in your body, you create a safer environment for your bones to rebuild. It is a dual-action approach. The minerals provide the building blocks, and the healthy fats protect the construction site. Incorporating anchovies doesn't mean you have to eat them straight from the jar if you don't like the saltiness. They dissolve beautifully into sauces. In Italian cooking, anchovies are often melted into olive oil at the start of a recipe, disappearing completely but leaving behind a savory depth and a massive nutritional boost. You can add them to stews, salad dressings, or vegetable dishes. You are adding a secret weapon to your meals, a way to fortify your skeleton without ever feeling like you are taking a medical treatment. Number 5. Bone broth. Now, let's move from the ocean to the kitchen pot to something deeply traditional and incredibly healing: bone broth. This isn't just soup stock. This is a slow-simmered elixir that has been used in almost every culture around the world to heal the sick and strengthen the weak. The modern diet often prioritizes muscle meat, steaks, chicken breasts, chops. While these are good for protein, they lack the specific amino acids needed to repair the structural integrity of your own body. Bone broth is rich in collagen type 2, gelatin, and glycine. Why does this matter for you? Because your bones are not just hard mineral sticks. Inside that mineral shell is a flexible living matrix made largely of collagen. It is this collagen that gives bone its flexibility. Think of a dry twig versus a green branch. A dry twig snaps easily because it has no flexibility. A green branch bends because it has moisture and structure. As we age, our bones become more like the dry twig because we lose collagen. When you simmer bones, beef, chicken, or fish for 12, 24, or even 48 hours, you unlock these structural proteins. You are extracting the collagen from the animal bones and turning it into a liquid form that is incredibly easy for your aging digestive system to absorb. When you drink a warm cup of bone broth, you are flooding your bloodstream with glycine and proline, the amino acids your body uses to weave new collagen strands. This is critical because calcium needs something to stick to. You can take all the calcium in the world, but if your collagen network is frayed and weak, the calcium simply falls away, like sand falling through a torn net. Bone broth repairs the net. It rebuilds the flexible framework of the bone so that the minerals have a place to land and harden. Furthermore, bone broth is gentle. As we get older, our stomach acid levels often drop, making it harder to digest tough steaks or large supplement pills. Bone broth requires almost no digestion. It is soothing and healing to the gut lining. A healthy gut absorbs minerals better. So by drinking bone broth, you are fixing the absorption problem at the source. You are creating a gut environment that can actually pull nutrients out of your food and send them to your skeleton. Imagine holding a warm mug of broth on a cold afternoon. It feels nourishing because it is. You are drinking the essence of structure. You are consuming the very stuff that joints, ligaments, and bones are made of. It is the ultimate cures-like remedy. It hydrates you, it soothes you, and it slowly, quietly reinforces the beams and pillars of your body's temple. Number 4. Fermented fish sauce. We have explored the visible power of the fish and the healing warmth of the broth, but now we must descend deeper into the culinary history of our ancestors. We are going to look at a liquid so ancient and so potent that it powered the armies of Rome, yet today it sits forgotten in the back of our cupboards or is dismissed simply as a salty condiment. We are talking about fermented fish sauce, known to the ancients as garum. To the modern nose, fish sauce can seem pungent, perhaps even aggressive, but if you look past the smell, you find nutritional gold. In the ancient world, before refrigeration, fermentation was the primary way people preserved the life force of food. When small fish, often the very anchovies and sardines we just discussed, are packed with salt and left to ferment in wooden barrels for months or even years, a miraculous biological alchemy takes place. The solid parts of the fish, including the bones and the marrow, completely liquefy. They break down into their most elemental forms. This is critical for you to understand because, as we age, our digestive fires dim. A steak that you could digest easily at 30 might sit heavy in your stomach at 70. Your body has to work very hard to break that solid food down to extract the minerals. But with fermented fish sauce, the work has already been done for you. The fermentation process has pre-digested the proteins and, more importantly, dissolved the minerals from the fish bones into a liquid solution. This means that when you add a splash of high-quality traditional fish sauce to your soup or stir-fry, you are not just adding salt. You are adding liquid minerals that are arguably the most absorbable form of calcium and trace elements on the planet. It flows directly into your system. There is no barrier. It is an immediate infusion of electrolytes and minerals that your bones are starving for. It is the blood of the ocean, captured in a bottle. Think of it as a natural mineral supplement that also makes your food taste delicious. It adds that deep, savory richness, what the Japanese call umami, that makes a simple vegetable stew feel hearty and satisfying. You don't need to use much. Just a teaspoon here and there replaces the empty chemical table salt you might be using. You are swapping a negative, processed sodium that raises blood pressure for a positive, a complex mineral-rich elixir that supports skeletal integrity. It is a small change in the kitchen that signals a massive shift in how you nourish your frame. Number 3. Sesame seeds and tahini. Now, let us leave the ocean for a moment and travel to the sun-drenched lands of the Mediterranean and the Middle East. Here, we find a secret to bone health that is hidden inside a tiny, unsuspecting package: the sesame seed. Specifically, we are looking at tahini, the butter made from ground sesame seeds. For centuries, legends spoke of open sesame, a phrase used to unlock a cave of treasures. In terms of nutrition, this is surprisingly accurate. The sesame seed is a locked treasure chest of calcium. In fact, gram for gram, these tiny seeds can contain more calcium than cow's milk. But there is a catch, a lock on the treasure. The outer hull of a sesame seed is tough. If you simply sprinkle whole seeds on a salad and eat them, they often pass right through your digestive tract unchanged. Your body cannot access the wealth inside. This is why the ancient method of grinding them into a paste, tahini, is so brilliant. The grinding process acts as the key. It crushes the hard outer shell and releases the nutrient-dense oil and minerals within. When you eat tahini, you are eating a form of plant calcium that is rich, oily, and satisfying. But why is this plant calcium so special for seniors? Because it comes packaged with magnesium and copper. We talk a lot about calcium, but copper is the unsung hero of bone health. Copper is essential for the cross-linking of collagen and elastin. Think of copper as the screws that hold the scaffolding of your bones together. Without it, the structure is weak. Sesame seeds are one of the best natural sources of copper. Moreover, tahini is a healthy fat. We need to let go of the fear of fat that was drilled into us in the 80s and 90s. Your cells need fat to function, your hormones need fat to be produced, and your bones need the environment that healthy fats create. The oil in sesame seeds is soothing. It lubricates the intestines and helps with absorption. Imagine starting your day not with a dry toast, but with a spoonful of tahini drizzled over oatmeal, or mixed with a little honey on a cracker. It is creamy, nutty, and coats your stomach. It feels substantial. You are eating the food of the ancients, the same food that powered the builders of pyramids and the philosophers of old. You are telling your body that you are providing it with high-density fuel. It is a grounded, earthy food that helps you feel more solid on your feet. Number 2, seaweed. From the earth, we return to the water, but this time to the garden of the sea. Seaweed. The very word sounds like a weed, something to be discarded, but a better name would be sea vegetables. In cultures like Japan and coastal Korea, seaweed is a staple, eaten practically every day, and coincidentally, these are cultures with historically lower rates of hip fractures in their elderly populations compared to the West. Seaweed, such as kelp, kombu, or wakame, acts as a sponge in the ocean. It floats in the mineral-rich seawater and soaks up everything around it. It concentrates these minerals into its leaves. When you eat seaweed, you are eating a concentrated form of the ocean's chemistry. The calcium in seaweed is unique. It is often more bioavailable than the calcium in spinach or other land greens, because seaweed does not contain the same anti-nutrients, like oxalates, that block absorption. But the real superpower of seaweed is iodine. You might wonder, what does iodine have to do with my bones? Everything. Iodine is the fuel for your thyroid gland. Your thyroid is the master regulator of your metabolism, but it also plays a massive role in bone maintenance. If your thyroid is sluggish, which often happens as we age, your bone repair mechanisms slow down. You need a healthy thyroid to signal your body to repair bone tissue. By neglecting iodine, you are letting the construction crew go to sleep. Seaweed wakes them up. It provides the natural iodine your thyroid craves, which in turn boosts your energy and revs up the bone rebuilding process. Additionally, seaweed is rich in alginates, fibers that help heal the gut lining. As we discussed with bone broth, a healthy gut is the gateway to strong bones. If your gut is inflamed, you can't absorb calcium. Seaweed soothes the gut, reduces inflammation, and creates a pristine environment for nutrient uptake. It might seem strange to add seaweed to your diet if you didn't grow up with it, but you don't need to eat a raw salad of it. You can buy dried strips of kelp and simply add a small piece to your pot of soup or beans while they cook. It dissolves its minerals into the water, just like the fish sauce. You can remove the leaf before serving if you wish, but the minerals are now in your food. Or you can sprinkle dried, crumbled nori, the kind used for sushi, over your eggs or rice. It adds a salty, savory crunch that is completely natural. These 3 ancient foods, fermented fish sauce, sesame tahini, and seaweed, share a common thread. They are concentrated. They are potent. They are foods where a small amount goes a very long way. Unlike the modern, super-sized meals that are empty of nutrients, these are small, humble ingredients that are bursting with life. They represent a shift in thinking. Instead of trying to trick your body with synthetic chemicals, you are partnering with your body. You are respecting the fact that your aging digestion needs help. You are choosing foods that are already broken down, fermented, ground, or water-soluble. You are making it easy for your body to say yes to nutrition. When you incorporate these foods, you aren't just eating. You are casting a vote for your future mobility. You are saying, I choose to be strong. I choose to be independent. I choose to feed my bones the way nature intended. This mindset is just as important as the food itself. It is an active participation in your own health destiny. Number 1, natto. We have explored the foundations of the ocean and the minerals of the earth, but there is one final piece of the puzzle. Without this last ancient food, all the calcium, broth, and seeds we have discussed might be wasted. In fact, without this final element, calcium can actually be dangerous. We are traveling to Japan to uncover the mystery of natto. To the uninitiated, natto is challenging. It is fermented soybeans, but not like the tofu or miso you might know. It has a pungent smell, often compared to strong cheese or old socks, and a texture that is famously sticky and stringy. When you lift a spoon of natto, long, spiderweb-like threads stretch out. For many, this is a barrier, but for your bones, those sticky threads are pure magic. Inside that sticky goo lies a specific enzyme and a specific vitamin, vitamin K2, specifically in the form of MK7. This is the holy grail of modern bone health research. Here is the terrifying truth about aging. You can eat all the calcium you want. You can drink milk, eat sardines, and take supplements. But once that calcium enters your blood, it doesn't automatically know where to go. It is like a car without a driver. In our younger years, our bodies direct it easily, but after 60, that system falters. Without guidance, calcium often drifts into the soft tissues. It settles in your arteries, turning them hard. It settles in your kidneys, causing stones. It settles in your joints, causing stiffness. It calcifies your heart valves. This is the calcium paradox. You have plenty of calcium in your body, but your bones are brittle while your arteries are turning to stone. Natto is the solution. Vitamin K2 is the traffic cop for calcium. When you eat natto, the K2 enters your bloodstream and activates a specific protein called osteocalcin. This protein grabs onto the calcium floating in your blood and physically drags it into the bone matrix. It locks it into the skeleton. Simultaneously, it activates another protein that scrubs calcium out of your arteries and soft tissues. Think of K2 as the manager of a construction site. It ensures the bricks, calcium, are used to build the wall, your bone, not dumped in the middle of the road, your arteries. Natto is the highest natural food source of vitamin K2MK7 in the world. Nothing else comes close. The Japanese populations that consume natto regularly have significantly lower rates of bone loss and fractures, and surprisingly, better heart health. It is a dual benefit miracle. If the taste is too much for you, there are ways to mask it. The traditional way is to mix it with hot rice, a little green onion, and mustard. The heat of the rice softens the smell, and the mustard cuts through the richness. Some seniors mix it into their miso soup at the very last second, so as not to kill the bacteria with boiling heat. Even eating a small teaspoon a few times a week provides more K2 than you would get from almost any other diet. It is a medicine food. You eat it not for the pleasure of the tongue, but for the pleasure of knowing your hips will stay strong. Putting it all together, your ancient bone protocol. We have covered a lot of ground. You might be feeling overwhelmed. Do I have to eat all of this every day? The answer is no. Stress is bad for your bones too. The goal is to weave these ancient foods into your life gently. Think of your week as a rotation of strength. Monday, enjoy a lunch of sardines on toast. Mash them up with lemon and pepper. You've just banked your calcium and vitamin D. Tuesday, stir a teaspoon of sesame tahini into your morning oatmeal or yogurt. You've added copper and plant fats. Wednesday, make a simple soup using bone broth as the base and throw in a strip of dried seaweed, kelp. You are hydrating your collagen and fueling your thyroid. Thursday, be brave. Try a small bowl of rice with natto, or perhaps add some anchovies to your pasta sauce. You are directing that calcium into the bone. You don't need to change everything overnight. Just one ancient meal a day sends a powerful signal to your body that you are in a building phase, not a declining phase. Common mistakes seniors make, the traps to avoid. As you embark on this journey, I need to warn you about the 3 traps I see so many people in their 60s and 70s fall into. 1. The calcium pill trap. We touched on this, but it bears repeating. Do not assume that because you took your calcium tablet, you are safe. Many seniors have a false sense of security. I take 1,000 milligrams a day, I'm fine. But if you aren't eating the fats, tahini, fish oil, and the activators, vitamin K2/natto, that pill is just expensive dust that might be clogging your heart. Real food is always recognized by the body better than isolated chemicals. 2. The fear of movement trap. This is heartbreaking. When we get a diagnosis of osteopenia or osteoporosis, or after we see a friend fall, we become terrified. We stop walking briskly. We stop lifting things. We move like we are made of glass. But bones obey a physical law called Wolff's Law. Bone grows in response to the stress placed upon it. If you stop impacting the ground, your bones dissolve because your body thinks you don't need them anymore. You must walk. You must carry groceries. You must dance. You need to create safe, controlled impact to tell these ancient foods where to go. 3. The low acid trap. You cannot absorb minerals without stomach acid. Many seniors are on antacids or simply have naturally lower acid due to age. If you eat these nutrient-dense foods but have no acid to break them down, you lose the benefit. This is why the fermented foods we discussed, fish sauce, natto, are so vital. They are acidic and enzymatic. They help you digest. Squeeze lemon on your fish, drink a little apple cider vinegar in water, help your stomach, help your bones. A warning and a reality check. I must be direct with you one last time. This is not magic. It is biology. If you have been ignoring your health for 40 years, eating sardines for 1 week will not undo everything. Bone remodeling is a slow process. It takes months, even years, to fully replace the skeletal structure. However, the danger of doing nothing is immediate. The statistics are not on our side. The mortality rate after a major hip fracture in the elderly is shocking. It is a thief that steals the twilight years of your life. Do not wait for the fall to start caring about the structure that catches you. But here is the beautiful news. Your body is forgiving. It is resilient. It wants to heal. Even at 70, 80, or 90, your cells are listening to you. Every time you choose a sardine over a sugary pastry, every time you choose bone broth over a soda, you are sending a love letter to your future self. Imagine a year from now. Imagine walking down the stairs without clutching the railing with white knuckles. Imagine picking up your grandchild or a heavy bag of soil for your garden and feeling a sturdy, solid resistance in your arms and back, not a fragile ache. That feeling is freedom. It is the freedom to say yes to invitations, the freedom to travel, the freedom to live in your own home on your own terms. These ancient foods, the fish, the broth, the seeds, the ferments, they are the heritage of humanity. They kept our ancestors upright through hard labor and long winters. They are waiting for you now, ready to lend you their strength. You are not made of glass. You are made of the same stuff as the stars in the ocean. It is time to eat like it. Sumeri, I want to hear from you. We are building a community of people who refuse to become fragile. In the comments below, tell me, which of these ancient foods are you brave enough to try this week? Are you Team Sardine, or are you willing to take the plunge and try natto? Let me know where you are watching from and how young you are today. I read every comment and I am cheering you on. Here is to your strength. Here is to your independence. I'll see you in the next video.